Thanks for joining me. We're recently so lucky because we just had you in Australia for your tour. How was it?
Oh, it was so amazing. I had such a good time. I think Australia's always been a big bucket list place for me to play shows because my dad is Australian, so I have a lot of family there and I feel like I have quite a connection to the country in that way. I've spent a lot of time there as a kid and always wanted to do my own shows there. So that felt really special. But then also, just like the Australian crowds, I just knew they would be well up for it. And they were. It was so fun. It was such like good vibes, feral vibes.
Yeah, it looked like a great turnout, and it always looked like, you're having so much fun, whether it's in Australia or no matter where you're performing, it just looks like you're having the best time as well.
Yeah, oh my God, I was. Yeah, I love playing shows and being able to travel all around the world doing it is like a dream come true.
Yes, and your new album's coming out in a couple of days. Congratulations. How are you feeling? It's release week. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. People keep asking me this, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I've like fully processed that it's coming out so soon. It's been such an amazing experience releasing all of the songs so far that have come out from it. And I've done three tours in the space of the time where I've been releasing music. So it's been like releasing music for this album, I mean. So I think now it's coming out, it doesn't feel real. It's like, oh shit. But I'm so excited. I feel like if anyone wants to know who I am and who I am as a person and a musician, listen to these 14 songs and you've got it. So that for me is feels really special that that's coming out.
Yeah, because listening to the album, it sounds like we get a bit of a personal taste into your journey. Because it sounds like a bit of a personal memoir into like your own journey of self-love and acceptance. So, what are some things you learn about yourself through writing and recording this album?
I definitely like a big lesson I learned was setting boundaries. That was something that I kind of learned along the way and learned about myself that I could do that. Um, I was experiencing heartbreak and I was going through some issues with friends and just a lot of, my interpersonal relationships were in a bit of an upheaval. And because of that, I was really struggling with self-esteem. And I think I realized actually I can set boundaries and I can cultivate um, you know, the people around me to be good vibes, good energy, and I learned to love myself a little bit more writing this album, definitely. It was definitely a really important like healing process to write it.
Yeah, and it's such a good message for other people too, because as you mentioned, setting boundaries, it's important for everyone, especially because you do have a younger fan base as well. They're going through like making their own mistakes, navigating life, something they can listen to and, get advice from.
Oh my God, definitely. And I think for me, when I was a teenager, and a lot of my fans are older than that. A lot of them are my age, a lot of them are older, sort of in their 20s, 30s. But I definitely have some teenagers in my fan base. And I remember when I was a teenager and music and bands were kind of where I took my inspiration from. And, those were the people I looked up to. And a lot of songs and lyrics from songs got me through some really difficult questions, that I was facing as a teenager about my identity and um, life in general. So I really hope that my songs can be that for young people now. That would be amazing.
Yeah, and I think you've achieved that because on top of your music, you always publicly advocate for, feminism, sexuality, mental health. So it's great to see that you're doing all those things on top of your releases as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think I just write about my own experiences and through that I think people find things they relate to in those lyrics and those stories and I think ultimately like representation and just being able to see yourself and your own experiences represented in art is just really it is such a powerful thing. So for women, for queer people, for to see themselves and their stories and their anger and their joy, represented in songs is, you know, definitely helps people to feel stronger in themselves.
And that's really important. I guess that also ties into the album title, which you talked a bit about matriarchy meaning so much to you in terms of like a queer woman loving another, just being your own queen. So tell me more about that and yeah, how that title plays into this message.
Yeah, so the title, I mean, the title, it started as the title for the song, Matriarchy, which came out, was the first song to come out from the album in September last year. And that song was about queer joy, and queer sex being almost like a subconscious act of resistance and rebellion, because we grow up in a patriarchal society, and you know, just being ourselves when you're outside of that norm, in quotation marks, is rebellion. But then I called the whole album, I thought, well, this represents a big community, and not just for women, as the word matriarchy would suggest, but just anyone, LGBTQ plus people, anyone who's you know, marginalized from the sort of main mainstream society. And I think anyone who feels over by patriarchy, and that community for me is like created my shows online, on my Discord, and hopefully just like mentally when people listen to my music. I also made this website called the Girly Verse, which was like, is this kind of online, it's called the Matriarchy Mansion, and you can go in and there's like all these different rooms with stuff that relates to the album and stuff like that, just having like a digital space where people can be like, oh, here I can be myself, I don't have to think about the bullshit out there. That's kind of what matriarchy means to me.
Yeah, I love that concept. I think that's another reason why I love that, you know, for your Australian shows, you had Juno open up for you, because that's another band that is so, especially if they're single, I'm the man, who's like shares a similar message to what you stand for in your music.
Yeah, oh my god, Juno was so amazing. I loved them opening up for us. The show every night, they killed it. And again, like, so cool to have a woman fronted band like playing with me. And exactly what you said, all the messages that they're conveying with their songs are really powerful.
Yeah, and I've listened to the album. I think the song that stood out for me the most was Tokyo, which is track 4. Because it's I love it, but it's also a very different sound to some of the other songs. So I'm interested to hear like your take about that and the sound that came out of that song.
Yeah, I that's one of my favorites as well. I think I was working with two of my really good friends, Dan Holloway and Jackie Apostle, who are amazing producers and songwriters. And I was telling them about how my ex had gone traveling around the world and to Southeast Asia. And at the time, I was still in so much pain from that relationship. And I said to them, I was like, I just keep having these thoughts or these dreams. Like, what if I just get on a plane and I like chase her? Like, I just go and I beg her to take me back, you know, like, what if maybe it would work? And we wrote a song about this imagined trip actually happening, and me actually getting on a plane, going to Tokyo and finding her and getting rejected. And the sound, like, Dan Holloway is such an amazing producer. And I went into that day at the studio saying, I've been listening to a lot of Caroline Polachek and her album Pang, and this artist called Dora Jar, who has the most incredible experimental production. And I was like, I really want to do something different. And actually, the main thing is I have this message and I want to say it and I want to tell the story. But sonically, I'm really open. I don't really mind where we go. Let's figure it out. And we just ended up making a song that sounds nothing like any girly song I've made before. And I love it because I think the thing that ties my music or my songs together is less sonic, and it's more about the storytelling and my, you know, my lyricism. So I feel like that gives me quite a lot of freedom, really, to just go sound wise wherever I want to go.
Yeah, it was so good hearing that change as well, because obviously it's got, those strong vocals we're familiar with, but also like a different side to Girly that we haven't seen before. And I'm like, this is great.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm glad you like that one. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Do you have any other favorites from the album other than Tokyo?
I really love Overthinking. That's probably like what my favorite at the moment, just because that song, again, it's like sonically very different. It's a bit grimesy sort of vibe. And yeah, it's like it's just a stream of consciousness, like I guess like 3 minutes about mental health and feeling overwhelmed by adulthood. And it really like it rings true to me still sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that's still true.
Yeah, so I guess like leading up to the release, what are the main things that you hope listeners take out from this project?
I hope that people will feel listened to, I guess understood. I hope that they'll see themselves in some of these stories and feel like um the songs give them some kind of release, whether they need to scream them really loud in their car or they need to like, you know, cry somewhere, cry with their friends to them, or or come to one of the shows and just let loose. I feel like the songs, the album is about my journey of figuring out my identity and coming to terms, coming into love about myself and my queerness, and then also healing from heartbreak and finding new love. And there's it's pretty much kind of shows like a healing journey, so I hope that people will find some kind of healing from it.
Yeah, and in saying that it's a journey, is it best to listen to the album in order, or is it an album that people can put on shuffle? How do we best listen to it?
I think people can definitely put it on shuffle. I really struggled with the album order because I had so many different sequencing versions, and I kept changing them, and I was kind of like tearing my hair out a bit about it because I was like, I don't know, like, what, how should I do this? Should I do them in the order of what they were written, or should I do them in a sort of like sort of the narrative? Ultimately, I decided to sort of do it loosely in um I guess like the narrative of the like heartbreak and then the healing, but then also then I was like, oh, but I want this song to be closer to the start of the album because I want people to hear that one because that one's my favorite. And then I kept being like, but that one's my favorite, that one's my favorite, which is a good thing because it means I really like my album, so that's good. But yeah, I think people can listen to the album however they want to.
Yeah, I can imagine it'll be like choosing your favorite child or choosing your favorite pet. But I guess yeah, in this age where you can listen to it in so many ways, whether that's physical or digitally, like there's many ways you can listen to it and experience it.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. You can like dip your toes in. I mean, like it's on vinyl if people want to just like listen to the whole thing that way. It's on cassette, CD. You can dabble, you can watch the videos, you can listen to like 2 or 3 songs on streaming. Like there's so many ways to consume music now, which is so awesome.
So I know you're still touring, and obviously we've got the album coming out, but like, what are your plans for the rest of the year? Like, it seems like you've already achieved so much. I'd love to hear like where you want to go from here.
I think, yeah, I think my brain is so in like album mode now. But definitely, I mean, the album's coming out and then I'm doing some record store performances, and then I'm doing my European tour, Matriarchy tour. And then I think that hopefully there's a plan for some more touring at the end of the year. I'll keep the Matriarchy tour going as long as possible. And maybe I'm always writing music, so maybe even some more music before the end of the year.
And it's so good to hear that artists are still doing a lot of record store pop-ups as well, because it's always like so cozy and just so good that that's still a thing.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I've actually never done record store performances, but it's been, you know, a dream of mine for a long time. I remember going to loads when I was younger. And I'm getting to play some really iconic record stores in the UK, so it's going to be really cute.
Amazing. Yes, that's all my questions. Did you have anything else you want to share about this album or things you want people to know about yourself as a musician?
No, I think that's good. I think people should definitely know I'm half Aussie and Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. I'll be back. Um, and yeah, no, I think that's good. Thank you so much.